Okay. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission for March 4th, 2025 to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, starting with Sarah.
Sarah Locke.
Kathy Laurie.
Joshua Dykstra.
Pizza Brass.
Pat Cotarella.
Carl Bouchard.
Jason Swan. Diamond Racer. Stephen Carey. Kevin McSherry.
Okay, we have a full commission. Okay. I'm going to reserve any comments till later. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the February 4th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Mind everybody, make sure your mics are on. Yep. All right. Jess, do I have a public hearing sheet? There it is. All right. The intent of the public hearing is to have the applicant and his or her authorized representatives present to the commission and to the public all information that is either necessary or pertinent to the application, to hear questions from the commission members and/or staff relevant to the application for the applicant's response, to hear questions and/or input from the public relevant to the aspects of this application only, including comments in favor of or opposed to the application, general comments or questions which are fielded by the chairman to the applicant for response if appropriate. Those people wishing to speak are requested to sign in with the commission on a sign-in sheet for the secretary. Those who wish to speak may do so upon recognition of the chairman, upon stating their name, address, and interest in the application. All speakers will be allowed a reasonable opportunity to be heard. Speakers may not speak again until all others have had the opportunity to speak. Is there any conflict of interest on the commission? Okay, hearing none. Does the applicant feel anyone on the commission has a conflict of interest? Thank you. Is there any correspondence?
Yes, there is. There is a letter from Jennifer R. Madonia and Dennis Colclaw of 18 Deerwood Road, Oxford, Connecticut, dated February 28th, 2025, to the Town of Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission. Dear Commissioners, as concerned longtime residents and property owners in the Town of Oxford, we oppose the proposed text amendment to Article 5, Section 5.3.2 B and C that would allow for one horse or other large farm animal per 10,000 square feet of property and reduce setbacks with a special exception. Below find the reasons for our opposition. Preliminarily, increasing animal density from 1 per 5 acres or 217,800 square feet to 1 per 10,000 square feet or 0.23 acres represents a 2,178% increase in animal density and is sought without so much as an environmental impact evaluation. Such an increase could lead to significant environmental impacts, including soil erosion and compaction, manure runoff into local water bodies such as Little River, and potential groundwater contamination. Oxford relies primarily on well water, and 10,000 square feet is insufficient to manage large animal waste at this density without posing a substantial risk of groundwater pollution. Additionally, it could lead to the nuisance of livestock manure orders in established neighborhoods where this has never been an issue. The proposed change may negatively impact animal health. A 10,000 square foot area is insufficient for roaming, rotational grazing, and exercise. Confining large animals to such small spaces could result in health problems and behavioral issues and higher likelihood of animals escaping or becoming a nuisance. There is also an elevated risk of disease transmission among animals and potentially to humans. Proper care for large animals requires more space for waste management, adequate shelter, and hay storage. The proposed amendment contradicts recommendations from agricultural experts. For example, the Connecticut Resource Conservation and Development Area, Inc. advises against using strict animal density formulas in zoning regulations as they don't account for modern feeding and husbandry methods. Before approving this amendment, we request clarification on the town's enforcement plan. How will the town allocate resources to monitor animal numbers, ensure proper waste management, and use of appropriate techniques for odor control, and address potential violations? We are concerned that effective enforcement would require significant and costly resources, placing a strain on the town's budget. We urge the town to maintain its current regulations, which better align with sustainable land use practices and preserve the rural character of Oxford. If changes are necessary, they should be based on comprehensive studies of environmental impact, animal welfare, and community needs. The current zoning helps maintain a balance between residential and agricultural development, and the residents of Oxford should not bear the burden of reduced buffers and setbacks to accommodate agriculture activities that bring the risks outlined above. A town-wide zoning change of this magnitude is inappropriate. Instead, a significant change such as the one sought here is more appropriately considered on a case-by-case basis via specific variance requests. This approach would allow for evaluation and consideration of the neighborhood context and character where the change is proposed, input from the surrounding residents, local environmental factors, and topography and infrastructure, ensuring a tailored approach as opposed to a blanket townwide change. We respectfully request our concerns be read into the record at the hearing on March 4th, 2025, and that the public hearing remain open for further discussion. Sincerely, Jennifer R. Madonia and Dennis Coleclaw.
That's it.
That's it. That's enough.
Want to read the notice?
Town of Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission, legal notice, rescheduled public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 7:30 PM on the following application. Z-25-004, proposed text amendment to Article 5, Section 5.3.2 B and C of the Oxford zoning regulations. Owner and applicant, Rosado Custom Homes and Remodelers LLC, 671 Oxford Road, Oxford, Connecticut, care of attorney Dominic Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut. The public hearing will be held in the main meeting room of the SB Church Memorial Town Hall located at 486 Oxford Road, Oxford, Connecticut. At the meeting, interested persons shall be heard and written communications received. A copy of the application is on file in the Planning and Zoning Department in the town clerk's office accessible during regular business hours, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Dated at Oxford, Connecticut, this 19th day of February 2025, by Jessica Pennell, Coordinator, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Alrighty. Are you ready?
Attorney Dominic Thomas, Tony Thomas, Main Street, Derby, Connecticut. Actually, most of the time, I present letters like that after the presentation. Actually, it's great to have it read now. I think addressing it is a primary focus. My presentation and actually answer some of the questions that are presented. I passed out a packet to everyone. The packet includes the first document was simply your application, which I'm sure you already had, but it also has the proposed changes to the regulation. What motivated this? Well, the client interested in making an application. We held a work session, staff and one member. We discussed the application that was presented, limitation on the equestrian proposal, the equestrian farm and event center, based on the existing regulations of one farm animal, 5 acres, which is quite, I understand, comparison that the neighbor drew, or that the individual. That is a very large property for a single farm animal, especially a single horse. In the discussion and in the research, it was observationally stated that there were many areas where people with livestock clearly over the years currently had more than one 5-acre parcel. Also, I did my own research and looked at a couple of other properties. I live in Woodbridge now, small farm things that are literally 5, 6 acres. They have 2 or 3. Why did I choose 10,000 square feet? Well, I chose 10,000 square feet as the basic. Not understand this. It isn't saying that 10,000 square feet, or basically a quarter of an acre as your density computation. And one of the places I derived it from after doing some research is that the grazing amount for a question regulation, the grazing size was 10,000 square feet. So I adopted that number. That is not, and I want to stress this is not drafted to be a matter of right. Not drafted to be a site plan approval. You have 10,000 square feet, you divide that into the property, that's the number of animals. That is not drafted that way. That is basically the density. Then it goes on to say, the number of animals shall be subject to special exception consideration stated in Article 10, Sections 10.1 to 10.2, as may be amended. And that is extremely important. Finally, it goes on in C, the reduction of the setback is not for a structure, it's for a pen or a run when it determines, the commission determines that the topography of abutting property uses and existing natural buffers protection is to mitigate any adverse effects. Now, I want to go back to what the letter writer said. She said it should be determined on a case-by-case basis. And by making this, since you do not have a plan development type regulation that can zone individual parcels, there is accomplishes the same purpose. And what the person said in the letter was something that lay people will often comment on, which is, why don't we just let anybody like this go for a variance? Well, I'm sure you're familiar as members that a variance requires the proof of a unique hardship on the property. And variances under, and I'm sure Attorney Sherry also advise you on it, variances are very difficult to obtain. In fact, amongst land use lawyers, there's a phrase that 90% of the variances ZBAs grant are probably illegal because no one opposed them. So variances are not the vehicle that you would use. The vehicle is the special exception. The next document in my packet points out that. So what it is pages 113 and 114 are section 10.1 to 10.3. It uses special exception. So when someone comes before you with a plan for equestrian or even for farm or livestock, they need to file for a special exception. You, as a commission, then operate or are required to operate under Article 10 and the laws and statutes related to special exceptions. So I highlighted a few of the things, you know what I mean? And one of it is, how is the proposed development consistent with the objectives and policies of the town development? And I'll address that with the next document. And then you get to look at traffic, and you get to look at pedestrian circulation. I didn't highlight that because it's not necessarily something that's going to focus. Then in 10.1.3, you as a commission look at the likely impact of the proposed development and the characteristics of the surrounding neighborhood, addressing such issues as congestion of public streets, harmony with surrounding development, and effect on property values and overall neighborhood stability. Now, I didn't even highlight it, but the woman talked about environmental and the extent to which any sensitive environmental features may be disturbed, and what measures shall be taken to mitigate the impact. The next one is the impacts on fire, and talks about water supply and sewage. And then if there's any mitigation for any adverse impact. And that would, of course, be, potentially buffers being offered or anything of that nature. So then after you have the public hearing, which is referred to in 10.2, then in 10.3, the Planning and Zoning Commission may, after a public hearing by a majority vote, grant the special exception to permit the use specified and elsewhere in these regulations, provided that the commission shall find, in addition to all other pertinent zoning regulations, the following conditions have been satisfied. That the proposed use, building, and other structure not be detrimental to health, safety, and welfare, property values, and the neighborhood. Now, you have to find that. The applicant has to produce evidence. The next one is for traffic. 10.3.3 is the second suitable landscape. And the design and setback of buildings and other structures are adequate to protect property and preserve appearance and character of the neighborhood. Again, go back to the letter that the woman wrote. These are the exact things she's talking about in a case like this that you are able to do as a commission when you have a 10,000 is the floor. It is the general, somebody can come in and ask for it, but then they have to comply with all these. And then finally, in 10.3.4, the lot on which the use building reg is proposed be established is of adequate dimensions to permit construction of the facilities and conduct of the use in such a manner that will not be detrimental to the adjoining property and the neighborhood. So if the proposal is too intense for that neighborhood, too intense for the property, you have the perfect right to reject it. Now, that's why the special exception, which is law, and a permitted use, but not a matter of right as a site. Site plan, all the person has to do is check the box for the setbacks, bulk standards, and use. In a special exception, you have these. That, a lot of these additional considerations, if you read them carefully, and even listen to the letter that, read the letter, I'm sorry, wrote, they are addressed by your special exception. Next in my packet is a couple of pages, 3 pages, from your plan of conservation and development. And it addresses architecture and agricultural land. Okay? And it talks about, it was interesting because the letter talked about maintaining the rural character. And rural character is usually associated with farming. Now, I want to be clear with you, one thing. Okay, okay.
It's the wrong microphone. It's the wrong microphone.
Huh? Should I talk louder or?
What's that, Josh?
It's the wrong microphone.
The battery was dead.
Oh, no, well, that'll do it.
Okay. Usually people associate rural character with agricultural. That's my 30, 40 years into land use, that's the thing. However, years ago, many years ago, I was retained by Terry Jones. I was retained by Terry Jones because somebody was putting in a septic near pumpkin. Go to strawberries, if you've ever gone up there. Blueberries there, too, but I've gone there many times for strawberries. And Terry's normal attorney was the corporation counsel for Lake County Welsh. And he called me in and he said, I need you to help me with this. He says, I don't want to stop the development of this subdivision, but I don't want it too close to my farm. Because people, who basically painted the farm as being a color. And he said, we're not in color. We're a working farm. And if you want agriculture, you want working farms, you got to recognize what they do. 4:30 in the morning, we shoot off the deer guns. We have fertilizer that we put on it. We have dust that blows around. We have tractors that do all sorts of things. So in that case, what we did is we developed as the subdivision was coming in, we developed what amounted to be a 300-foot buffer. Open space, no build, and then the properties. So I learned an awful lot about how you address the farms. In the POCD, the POC talks about the loss of farms and the actual things, but it talks about, as what I highlighted, and encouraging that there still need to encourage agricultural flavor. And these rural characters of the town are important to residents. Many of the residents enjoy living in a community as it affords the opportunity to raise or keep a small number of horses, livestock. These talking about hobby farms, and they may be small and not the primary source of income. However, they still contribute to the cultural landscape and the overall character. Well, yes, I'm talking about potentially somebody coming with a hobby farm, but I'm also talking about coming in with equestrian, which is becoming a very popular thing. Other counties, people are developing and taking advantage of the interest in equestrian. So I tried to draft a reg that gave the opportunity for them to come before you with a plan that is not limited by the 1 to 5 acres, but allows them to come in with a plan that you can have the discretion under the special exception to address the individual site and determine what the individual site is appropriate. When you continue on in the POCD, under policy, they talk about preserving agricultural resources somebody who's operating a farm and they need to go, they decide they want to go into boarding horses and having an equestrian track for people to board horses. The 5-acre limitation is very limited. Now, they can come into you and they can't come into you and say, all right, I'm going to bring in next month because you have a 10,000. No, we don't. 10,000 is our density. Now, could you please go ahead and fulfill all the other requirements in the special exception to make sure your location is appropriate? Okay, and finally, in the POCD, I'm pointing out, ensure the zoning regulations do not inhibit the operation of bona fide agricultural equestrian farm. Permission to create or permitting farm stores and other agricultural talks about that. That you've addressed in your regulations, and people are allowed to be able to do that. Have retail that is related or accessory to the main activity if they had an equestrian activity. Now, there are many regulations. I just wanted to point out one statute and one regulation. That the statute I pointed out is 22-412. That section of the statute deals with domestic animals, agriculture, domestic animals, and it's the promotion of the equine activity. Now, what it's talking about is funding for programs. But I'm pointing it out to you just to show. I'm not going on my own. The state also, the agricultural department, looks to and has provided funding for people who want to engage in equestrian activity. And finally, the serious question. I guess you could say, this is the maneuver. Okay? And again, not being a farm-oriented person, I got an education some 30 years, maybe a little less, when I was representing the developers of Oxford. And the education I got was because one of the neighbors off of Oxford was off of Chestnut Tree Hill Road. And she vociferously was objecting to massive proposal. And you got to remember, it went through the zoning, the full zoning approval for Oxford Greens is like 800. It stretches all the way, it hasn't gone there, it stretches all the way. She was extremely upset that there were going to be homes near her 5-acre parcel. Apparently, back then, this is in the 90s or early 2000s, had 2 or 3 horses, and her neighbors actually came to the public hearing, pointed out that she did not properly manage. I had a brief education on that you actually have to manage manure if you have horses. And I learned that, and I've actually had a couple other cases where that's important. There is manure management regulations in the state of Connecticut to address what the woman in the letter pointed out. You have to have it. You have to have in most of them, most in my research, most equestrian activities, they actually have dumpsters put into and then haul away. So, what I'm trying to say is, and it was the advantage of having the letter read ahead, many, every single issue pointed out in that letter is addressed by virtue of your special exception. You are allowed to tailor it, usually that to the site and address issues at the site. This then, the regulation allows, under the POCD, somebody to come in and ask for an equestrian activity or some form of animal livestock that has more animals than the 1 per 5, 1 in 5 acres, which is an enormous piece of property for 1 cow or 1, that's what it applies to, or 1 horse. Okay? But it is an open-ended. It is not a matter of right, and it is subject to your special exception. So with that, I hope I've addressed the letter, and I'm more than welcome.
Before we get into questions, I'd just like to remind people, all we are looking at is the text change, not any particular property or group of properties. It's only the text change that we're looking at tonight.
I have a question.
Shirley?
I would like to clarify what our regulations actually say about the minimum parcel size and density for animals on the property. Both the letter and both Dominic have suggested that it's one horse or large animal per every 5 acres. As I read our 5.3, 5.3.2A says, the minimum parcel size shall be 5 acres. So the minimum size for the farm is 5 acres. B, there shall be a maximum of 1 horse or other large farm animals such as cattle, sheep, or goats per acre of the property. Not 5 acres. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. This shall include all animals kept on the subject property, including animals owned by the property owner. I believe that's what our current regulation says. You know, 1 animal per acre, from what I understand, is a reasonable number, and that increased densities past that are problematic. Not impossible, but problematic.
Mr. Chairman, looking again at our regulations, thank you, by the way, Carl, for pointing that out. I had a question about that as well. It's not clear to me, does this apply only to horses, or does it apply to what animals? It seems to be unclear to me, and I would like that clarified, whether what they're proposing, again, applies only to equine, or if it applies to all farm animals?
I'll read it again,
I see
and
that
then
it
I'll
says
give you
that.
my interpretation. There shall be a maximum of 1 horse or other large farm animals such as cattle, sheep, or goats per acre. So only one of all that group of animals on an acre. You could have, I'd read it another way, you could have 1 horse, 1 cattle, 1 sheep, 1 goat, 1 other on your 5 acres.
Horse,
Or you could have 5 horses.
My concern is the lack of clarity as to which animals are included and which ones are not included, and does the owner's pet? That was my concern.
Go ahead.
If you recall, a few years back, we had a problem with the horses up on North Larky Road. We did some research on that. When she was boarding horses on
Right.
less than 5. And she was trying to blame the trucks, saying that the horses were getting upset, chewing up the barn because of the trucks annoying them. Turned to find out that the horses weren't getting enough exercise because the property was too small for them. I just want to put that into the record, and that's from Larky Road. We had
Yes.
3 or 4 years back.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
I do have some thoughts, but I think I'd like to see if there's anybody else in the audience that wants to speak first, and then maybe bring it back to us to,
Oh, well, yeah.
but after we hear from that, I do have a
Is
couple
there
of
anyone
thoughts.
in the audience that would like to speak to this? Please come up, identify yourself. and-
What about the rural character of? We also know town demographics are changing. Prices are going up, we're attracting. Not just the little pieces. First part talks about our contract language, which I have. That title then is the context. Talking about cattle, sheep, goats. You're talking about property owners, so dogs, cats, goldfish, birds. Now, the fact that this is horses, now you're saying dog. My recommendation would be to all together, rework this. Line.
Is there anyone else?
We own two pieces of property. I do want to say one thing. I have some prepared content. A lot like Jennifer. But the attorney who represented the petitioner for agriculture, I lost him. Agriculture defined in our
We have a right to farm ordinance. And the state defines agricultural uses. And we are subject to state statutes.
Agriculture is defined as a science and practice of farming, including cultivation of soils for the growing of crops and the rearing of the animals to provide food, wool, and products. Pretty simple.
So what we ran into when we did the, and I think Obrus, who was the chair of the subcommittee who did the regulations, we define farming or agriculture, and these regulations define under section 1.1Q of the Connecticut General Statutes. So it's a statutory definition, and that's what we rely on, and that's what we follow. State's definition of agriculture and farming encompasses the diversity of Connecticut's agriculture, from crops to livestock to forest products to shellfish, all part of farming. So livestock is certainly a component of it. And by way of numbers, I'll give you, how many horses do you think there are in Connecticut? I had no idea either. And so it's 51,980. And we are the largest state in the New England area as far as horses. Now you're asking me a question, a lot of questions, but you know, to the point, livestock is considered agriculture.
townwide zoning change of this magnitude is not appropriate. That such a change should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis through specific variance requests. Allow for a tailored approach that considers the neighborhood, surrounding residents, local environmental factors, topography, and infrastructure. Current zoning regulations help strike a balance between residential, commercial, agricultural development, and are in alignment with objectives and policies of the town plan for conservation and development. Furthermore, it would be inappropriate for the residents of Oxford, more specifically, adjacent property owners, to bear the burden of reduced buffers and setbacks to accommodate agricultural and/or commercial agricultural activities. We urge the town to maintain its current regulations, better aligned with sustainable land use practices and consistent with readily available public guidelines from recognized experts such as derived from comprehensive studies that evaluate environmental impacts, suitability of land, animal welfare, and the needs of the community. Increased animal density from 1 per acre, 1,000 square feet, represents a remarkable increase in animal density per acre. Talk about production of any environmental impact analysis without consideration for any other regulations such as odor replacement control, raises noteworthy concerns. Proposed increase in animal density will result in adverse environmental impact, including soil erosion, action, manure runoff into local water bodies, and potential contamination of groundwater. Oxford primarily relies on well water. The proposed density will pose a significant risk of groundwater pollution. Furthermore, this change will likely introduce unpleasant odors from livestock manure in the neighborhoods where this has never been an issue. Additionally, 10,000 square foot area is inadequate for roaming, occasional grazing, and exercise that large animals require. Confining animals to such small spaces could lead to health problems, behavioral issues, and an increased likelihood of animals escaping. Furthermore, this could elevate the risk of disease transmission among animals and potentially humans. Proper care for large animals necessitates more space for animal well-being, proper waste management, adequate shelter, and appropriate food storage. This amendment is being given serious consideration. Before proceeding with the final decision, we respectfully request clarification on the town's enforcement plan. More specifically, details on how the town will allocate resources to monitor animal numbers, ensure proper waste management, implement effective odor control, and address potential violations. We are concerned that the effective enforcement will require significant resource, which would place considerable strain on the town's budget and create issues for homeowners and businesses adjacent to properties that choose to adapt to the expanded regulations. Closing to restate, we believe that a townwide zoning change of this magnitude is not appropriate. Instead, such a change should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Specific variance request consider every aspect and dimension of the potential impact, property in question, and adjacent properties. We respectfully request that our concerns be included in the record at this public hearing on March 25th. A copy will be provided to the Commission Secretary to ensure the minutes capture an accurate reflection of our comments. Concerns, respectfully, Charles.
Thank you. Please.
Clarify a little bit, the commission has the ability in its regulations to waive certain setback requirements at the request of an applicant. So it's not really a variance, so it's really a waiver in our regulations. So if you remember Attorney Thomas early on saying how difficult it is to get a variance, but part of an application, any application that comes in for whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be livestock, there can be a request to waive certain requirements that relate to setbacks as part of the application. So to your point of a case-by-case basis, that can be done in our waiver process. Not so much a variance.
I know you don't want to get into this conversation about property. But that would be of serious concern.
variances require the hardship. Okay, you have to prove a hardship for a variance. So in the context here, that's not what these people would be asking for. They would be asking for variances, and this commission cannot grant a variance. Grant a waiver, but not a variance. There is a distinctive difference. Okay? So in the letter, if you will, that's a improper use of the term, if you will.
Okay.
And I'm not criticizing, I'm just, you know,
That's totally fine. I'm not an attorney, maybe I should call my attorney. But what I think I'm trying to say is a broad sweeping change of the regulation or not allow what is a little over 4 horses per acre. No environmental studies. I feel, however, property in question, whether or not
thank you. Thank you for your input. Is there anyone else? Anyone else who'd like to speak? It is a general change that's being asked for. It does not apply to a particular parcel. Although the owner of a particular parcel triggered this request, but the text change would become part of our regulation overall. That one's yours. That one's yours.
It's always been a townwide regulation. And it'll continue to be a townwide regulation. That's the variance that we've asked to amend our regulations. We're not varying the application of our regulations to a particular property. So this is a townwide regulation, so that's how it's been proposed. If someone came in and said, I want to vary the setback requirements for my particular site, and they'd have to show a hardship, or, as we discussed briefly with Paul, a waiver could be requested. This changes that entire town and also would apply to various properties that were similarly situated to parcels that I think are fine, but it's not specific to any one parcel. Site-specific, the way it's been proposed. Apply it in your logic and argument. Yeah, in your argument, you can apply it that way, but the way it's been proposed is townwide.
We're not speaking in specific parcels.
Oh, okay, my mistake, my mistake. All right, that actually.
Anyone else? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this? Going back to the commission? Sure.
Others have changed the zoning regulations. Keep in mind. Larger zone. Not apply in here to other zones. So it is townwide with respect. Now, and I'll keep repeating it, matter of right. In other words, what is being talked about, if, oh, you got 10,000 square feet, I got one animal, that's it, you have to approve. I went through a pretty lengthy explanation. That is just a density calculation. That's all it is. It's a density calculation. Then what you have to do when you come in, as opposed to a site plan, you gotta go through all of those conditions that are involved in your special exception application. And your commission of some experience, some new members, but if you read your own special exception, they are geared, and this is the difference between a special exception and a site plan. They are geared to allowing you to look at the specifics of the application as it affects the neighbors. In fact, it does what is being requested. And we're talking about reducing the setbacks. Setbacks are considered setbacks to structures. You'll notice in my change, I do not include the reduction for buildings. The reduction is only for pens and runs. When you, as a commission, determines that the topography, abutting property uses, and existing natural buffers are such as to mitigate any effects. So if somebody had a pen, and that pen abutted another farm, then you could say, I don't think there's an issue. If somebody had a pen or a run for their animal, some sort of a corral for their cows, and it was abutting a property line in which the topography off the property line was a steep slope up 50 feet, and the nearest property up above it, the nearest structure or house, was up 50 feet and back 100 feet, this commission, common sense, could look at it and say, that's okay. But if someone came in and said, I want to put my pens in here and literally on the other side of the property, I want to go 20 feet from the property line, and literally on the other side of the property are two swing sets of pool and a 4-bedroom colony. Have to sense and say, no, you're not going to be able to do it. And you have the right to do that under your special exception regulations. I do need to ask either attorney, since it drafted this and I noted this on my application, was this sent to NVCOG?
File here, I don't have them.
It has been,
They did respond?
Um,
I just wanted to know.
Yeah,
because
no, I
it
didn't see
would
that
be
on the-
To planners, but you know, as long as the notice. My point is, I'm listening to their concerns and their concerns of the neighborhood customers. Look at your 10.1. Look at those regulations. Or regulations, they address the other states are the way they vary, some land use departments vary regulations. We don't do that in Connecticut, we have variances. Special exceptions give you the additional discretion in order to address the concerns that have been expressed. I just wanted to not think, and nobody should think, regulation is a matter of right. It is actually in the special exceptions section of the residency zone.
Can I try to have, so basically, you could have a similar sized piece of land affected differently by topography and what's around it, and the commission could look at that on a case-by-case basis and make determinations that would say, well, no, we're not going to eliminate the setback on your westerly boundary because it's adjacent to a house and residence. So there could be adjustments made as the commission went along with each application. So it would not necessarily mean that it would be the 10,000 per horse per 10,000 square. It could be modified by the commission per the special exception regulation.
Utility, look at the intensity of the use, the impact on the neighborhood. You have two 10-acre pieces of property. One of them, middle of, one of them is in the middle of. Now, we can see how you can do this. Still can't put your, understand this, even with that piece, you still can't put your barn. Still can't put your, any structures like that. That is, but now you can have your paddocks, or you have one. Go down the road, there's a 10-acre piece. They want to have the same thing, but they are in the middle of what may have been a farm many years ago, but it's now a subdivision, 4-bedroom colonial. They're stuck in the middle of it. And you can say, no, you're not going to have that many animals because of, that the intensity is too great for your neighborhood. That's exactly what the language says in pretty clear terms. And here, you better make a finding that the lot on which the use is proposed is of adequate dimensions to permit the construction or conducting in a manner that will not be detrimental to the adjoining property. It says it right there. Pretty clear. So I just want to once again, like a site plan. Somebody comes in, with a site plan under the permitted uses. They check all the boxes, and their structures comply with the setbacks. And that's what is called a matter of right.
Josh, you had this question?
Yeah, I just, not so much questions. I think this is fairly clear, but Jim definitely brings up a good point, right? We start down the road, boarding horses, commercial, and then we kind of wander into some other grounds here. This seems very much akin to what we did with the agritourism rewrite. I think there's some good points on both sides being made. I have concerns going from what is being represented here is 5 larger animals on 5 acres to potentially 20. Understanding your point, Dominic, that is not the matter of right, but by reading this, somebody could draw that conclusion and then be trying to go down that road. I think that there's some tweaking that could certainly be done. We are, things are evolving, farming and these smaller farms, we've seen folk coming in trying to board horses on larger properties that have already been doing it. More coming through. I think it certainly is merits going back and rewording this. There are things that I think are not completely clear. I don't know that we want to go down the road as the way it's written here. We didn't do that with the farming events text. We took the suggestions that came in, but then we went and rewrote it the way that we thought it fit the town the best, and would compromise both sides of this story, right? There are folks trying to make farms work, and there are folks trying to live around the farms. So how do we split that difference and try to satisfy the both sides as best we can? So my recommendation was maybe we go back and just try to tweak this so we can better align.
Yeah, I was going to say the same as Josh, really. I think as of right now, how the text amendment is, the request to change the text is worded, it's too broad, it's too open to interpretation. And I know we have, and the crux of the argument was that we had checks and balances to stop something that we felt was inappropriate to the new wording. But it is, by the way of it's defined, as opening the door to things that we might not necessarily want to go down that road versus redefining this a little bit more clear.
I will add, I think having it in special exception is the right place. We got to come in, it gives us the opportunity to assess what's trying to happen. And if somebody is trying to, you know, the topography is not suitable, we can at least have that conversation. We have the opportunity to do that, right? And I think that was a lot of what was being said by the letters, the folks here, is having that opportunity. Variance is not the right way to go about it. I think special exception handles it nicely.
So basically, what we're saying is that we have enough information to work on this and make an informed decision.
I would say that we have enough input to move forward. I do agree with getting some folks who are more well-versed than we are on how to handle a farm request that could come in this way. And we needed to do the same with the farming events, right? We needed to talk to folks that do this and get a clearer understanding. 10,000 may be the right number. I don't think it is, but who are we to say that exactly? We can go out and find experts that can help us with this.
Sure. Sure. I don't know that. I'm not a horse person.
That's why I'm saying we should seek the advice of
I didn't say I disagreed with him.
But as it's written here, being very literal. Or one for 10,000.
So
Square footage.
So quite literally, the way that this is written today in our regulation, it allows for 5 as long as you're at 5 acres or greater. The way this would change is would allow 1 per 10,000, do the math, that's 20 on a 5-acre lot.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Right. And that's, again, I'll go back to saying that's why a special exception, I think, and feel is the right place. And then going out and talking to folks that know better than we do to help us.
Experts
Yeah.
and so on. Now, Kevin, we close this public hearing, and I still consult experts.
Public hearing open, because I think anything that we come up with, information was, I think, comment on it. I'm not sure what experts you're going to consult, but there's plenty of them.
That was just a question.
Yeah.
He gave me an answer. I'm good with it.
I mean, as the applicant, I would prefer that we kept those.
What was the difference then between this scenario and when we closed the public hearing for the text amendment initially for the farming events, and then we went to a rewrite? Why do it differently here?
We're on two different subjects now. I think
Yep.
Chair asked whether he could consult with experts and whether he should close the public hearing.
Understood. So in,
Thomas and I agree that if we're going to consult with some, take some information in.
right.
And after you do that, the commission can make a decision on what it wants to do. And move forward broader rewrite, then the commission could decide to do that. But I think getting additional information, allowing the applicant an opportunity to comment, and people who were here tonight, give them an opportunity to comment, I think that just makes sense.
Fair.
So I think I would leave it open.
No, I am stretching, but I'm waiting for you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Let's just not forget that if we get consultants or experts, somebody has to take them. Depending on who it is, who you get. So I think that needs to be.
I would like to make sure there's a veterinarian involved also,
We did not initiate this.
because
We'll determine who's the expert.
I understand that. I understand. I know, but not
Obviously, I don't want to
everybody
get the
here
guy
might
from
not know
Southbury
that
that
exact.
does the racehorse farm as my expert. You know?
Yeah.
I don't want the guy that's running tack lines down in Bridgeport, you know?
Understood your point, like, if we're gonna hear more against this specifically, that is different than what happened with, so, understood, thank you.
And I think at the end of the day, you get more information in, and you'll be better equipped to decide what you want to do. I think the information on horses is available. I think the state has some information. And I've dealt with a lot of horses. My time in Bethany, I think I've told the commission that. I had custody of 43 horses at one point. So I don't know how that happened, but it did. But whatever you read on it, you will see that feeding horses is different depending on how you're looking at each method. So getting some expertise on how the management of horses and farm-size animals, what that is important. And I think that's critical for you.
what I did when, excuse me, what I did is called the veterinarian on that, went up there and got some information to why the horse was eating the barn up. He said he was stressed out from no exercise. So I like to get a veterinarian, you know, the health of the horse is more important to me.
I think that also, we do have Andy Cobb. You know, that's why you send them a notice, they may have information. Again, by saying, over and over again, the regulation doesn't give anybody a matter of right. 20 horses in 5 days. Nowhere, it doesn't. Somebody can look at it and be stupid to think that they read it and not know what a special exception is. Yeah. Not a matter of right. You can't go in and say, I'm not gonna have 20 horses on my piece of property because it says it. It means you have to go through the special exception. But I do think it is beneficial. Maybe, that's why the COG is noticed of these kind of regulations. Sometimes they give you a flippant reply, not impactful, or other times they can direct you to who you can contact either at their level or state level. There's a desire at the state level to encourage.
We're all set then?
Nothing further?
Yes.
Have a motion to
recess the
recess until, give me a number.
Hold. 1st or the 15th of April?
First.
Err on caution, go to the 15th then?
I think the 15th makes a little sense.
All right, I'll move to
April 15th.
that's the 3rd April of that month, third Tuesday of that month.
First and third, we have one meeting on April Fool's Day and one meeting on Tax Day. Isn't that wonderful?
That work then? All right, I'll move to recess the public hearing until April 15th, 2025.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Where, Dan?
Pardon me?
Dan. Oh, I'm on. Oh, no, I'm not. You can hear me?
All right, moving on. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
We did.
Oh, never, well,
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add the following application as new business number 3. Application Z-25-012, 300 Oxford Road, also known as Quarry Walk. Owner and applicant, Oxford Town Center LLC, care of attorney Dominic Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, 06418. For the application, Phase 2E, site plan modification, Building P, 16,401 square foot building, 3 stories with mixed-use commercial residential with 50 residential units. Need a second?
second.
Discussion?
No, that's just,
That's it?
that's putting it on the agenda.
That does it?
Yeah. Second.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session to discuss items related to employee number 1072. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Motion to amend the agenda to add ZFPZA membership renewal as number 1 under invoices.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Where are we?
No, I'm trying to find them now, actually.
Oh, do we have any correspondence?
Do we have any correspondence? Audience.
Audience and citizens. Is there anyone that would like to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone that would like to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone that would like to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Hearing none, moving on. Old business. Z-25-007, 105 Willenbrock, owner Roller Bearing Company of America, care of Bob Crawford, applicant Borghese Building and Engineering, application Building C site plan, 1,722 square foot addition to original approved site plan. Do we have a, do you have a motion for this?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. I'll make a motion to approve Z-25-007, 105 Willenbrock Road, owner Roller Bearing Company of America, care of Bob Crawford, 1 Tribology Center, Oxford, Connecticut, 06478. Applicant Borghese Building and Engineering, care of Rob Blanchette, 2155 East Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut, 06790. Application Building C, site plan, a 1,722 square foot addition to the original approved site plan. The following approved applications are incorporated by reference and made part of this application. Application Z-24-027, 102 Willenbrock Road. Application Z-24-028, 104 Willenbrock Road. And application Z-24-029, 105 Willenbrock Road. Supporting documentation and information. The applicant submitted the following in support of its application. A, application dated 1/28/25. B, statement of use dated 1/28/25. C, Borghese letters dated 4/18/24. Stormwater design capacity sufficient for building expansion. D, map building C site plan. Drawing number SP-1 dated 4/17/24. E, map building C site plan. SP-2 dated 4/17/24. F, floor plan detail A-1 dated 4/12/24. G, floor plan detail -4-1-A dated 4/12/24. H, floor plan detail A-1-B dated 4/12/24. I, floor plan detail A-1-C dated 4/12/24. J, elevations A-2 dated 4/12/24. K, inland wetland approval dated January 27th, 2025. Conditions of approval. Compliance with all town of Oxford regulations and ordinances in effect as of this date. The applicant will be required to pay all costs of special consultants or studies as deemed necessary by the commission at any time during the period from the initial review through inspection and final acceptance of any improvement. 3, the applicant and his assigns must comply with all representations made at the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings or at public hearings regarding this application. 4, the applicant shall comply with all requirements of the fire marshal. 5, the applicant shall obtain all necessary licensing and permits as may be required by other agencies. 6, site plan approval expires if the work has not been completed within 5 years from date of approval. 7, sedimentation and erosion control measures on site shall be maintained in compliance with the proposed site plan and current guidelines, subject to field review by the commission's engineer. 8, the applicant shall have a pre-construction meeting with appropriate town staff prior to any construction activities. 9, the applicant shall submit one copy of the set of plans which reflect these conditions of approval with a copy of the conditions of approval attached to the zoning enforcement officer. 10, if a bond is required, no work shall be done until a bond is set by the Planning and Zoning Commission's engineer in a form acceptable to town council or land use council. The site plan expires 5 years from date of approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next thing is new business. C-25-009, proposed plan development district regulation. Applicant B. Wiz, wow, LLC, care of Dominic Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut. It's to set a public hearing date. What date do we want to set? Do I have a motion?
I'll move to set a public hearing for Z-25-009 on April 1st, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Oh, that is my fault. At 7:30. Or do you want to move it forward?
Can everybody make it here for 7?
I can do 7?
Yeah.
Make an amendment to my motion to start the public hearing at 07 on April 1st, 2025.
Is the second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, so the public hearing will be at 7, and our regular meeting will be at 7:30 or later. All right, next item is Z-23-135, 19 East Commerce Drive, bond release request. We have a letter from, you have it?
I got
Go
it.
ahead.
We have a letter from Borghese Building and Engineering Company, Inc., dated February 19th, 2025, to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Oxford Town Hall. Reference, erosion and sediment control bond number 107874915. To whom it may concern, this letter is to formally request the release of the erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $100,000 for the Benjamin International Project located at 19 East Commerce Drive in Oxford, Connecticut, map 24, block 22, lot 10, A15 and A16. Sincerely, Borghese Building and Engineering Company, Inc., George Schmidt, Project Manager.
I will entertain a motion to refer this to Jim Galligan, our planning and zoning engineer, for review.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Steve?
Pat, sorry, you get one added on there.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Sorry. D-25-00012.
Which was, I didn't write it.
That was the Quarry Walk for the,
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's a site plan modification. However, there is extreme public interest in this. Therefore, I would like to hold it as a public hearing. For whatever reason. Okay. So that's within our purview to be able to do that. Any item that comes up on our agenda that we feel is of significant public interest, we can hold a public hearing, whether it's required or not.
understood, where's the extreme public interest?
Pardon me?
Where's this extreme public
We've been
interest?
getting a lot of push to have the public input on these things.
That's not extreme public interest. Got it.
Some of it, yes. I take my word for it, 'cause I get phone calls. You know, I get phone calls, I get accosted in the supermarket, I get,
Would expect if there was that much extreme interest, we would see letters, we would see something. It just doesn't seem like that's the case. And phone calls and personal stuff.
what's the problem with having a public hearing?
I don't see a problem with having it.
I guess there's not a problem with having it, just under the premise, but if everybody wants to do it, then let's do it.
There's chatter on the Facebook pages too.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
George mentions it every time.
If everybody's aligned, let's do it.
And again, we listen to what people have to say. We're not bound by mob rule. We're bound by our regulations.
So can we set that one for like 7:15? And then we'll just start it whenever?
One
Yes.
additional question, when will we get a copy of this public access, the thing that they were asking, that they want to talk about?
As soon as we have all the documentation we need for the application.
No idea when that will be?
Theoretically, he only needs to submit a change.
Is he changing his statement of use? Is he
No,
changing the
it's site plan
building?
modification. Yeah. The building is changing.
The building change, so he has to plan,
It's
he has
getting
to
small,
submit
the building's getting smaller, he's adding parking spaces and so on.
This is no different than when Corey Walk Coffee changed and then changed back and then changed
You're
again,
right,
right?
yeah,
And he
yeah.
comes.
Except this building's getting
Yeah,
smaller.
so he's gotta bring in the site plan modification, give us all the documentation, that's pretty standard.
I'm not sure what I'm talking about, what I'm thinking of. Are we talking about
not the same thing as
changing the offices to?
No,
This
no,
is the
that's
building.
done, that's a done deal.
I think this is the building right behind that, right?
Just
In
the
the-
dirt
Oh, Pete?
It's not the dirt lot?
I think it is, yeah, I think it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a
Okay.
smaller building than before.
Just a quick one. That was the building that was gonna be designated for the YMCA, our health club and so on, plus offices and this sort of thing. Okay, it had a certain size, it was already approved on the conceptual plans and on the phasing plan. That's gone. YMCA is not in a position to build that or anything else at this point. So what he's doing, he's making that building smaller, gonna do it as mixed use, adding proper little parking spaces, because now the building isn't taking up the whole space, so he's adding the parking spaces, which will more than cover for the thing. And we'll all see it when we get all the final, you know. And again, is what it is. You know, I mean, I personally would just handle it as site plan modification. However,
It's not any different than the other site plan modifications he's come in for, but if we feel that it's necessary, why not?
this is an election year, let's be honest.
Steve has it if anyone wants to look at it.
Fine.
Steve has it. If I can hear about it one more time.
That's gonna be the new.
You have it with you, is what you're saying?
I do have, I don't know, yeah, I mean, I have
But I don't
I
have
have
it.
an older rendering.
But it'll be available soon?
I mean, you can stop in tomorrow and look
I
at it,
will,
but just
I
as
will
well.
get it
Okay.
emailed to me. And I will email the PBV regulation.
I can give you like a
Because that's a long regulation.
yellow. That's the,
That's the original.
yeah, this is the ice cream shop and
What they're proposing now is a little smaller.
Smaller building.
smaller building, yes, correct. How big was the original building? 40,000, they're going for 16,401.
So less than half of the original size.
218.25. But we don't have, I gotta get the fees from here, there's stuff we have to do.
I don't know.
No, yeah, no, it's good, I
If
just,
anyone wants to stop down, I can make you copies of this.
Obviously, I'm thinking the
Obviously, it's residential and
the
commercial.
base floor. We don't know what.
Again, it's all on the drawings. I think even the base floor has some residential on it.
There's residential in the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor. Commercial.
So we'll get some new plans and,
Yeah. Like I said, this was submitted to us for just as a site plan
I
modification.
didn't get this till late Friday afternoon.
We all have to be concerned with what the public says. mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know,
Like you said, they could just
I mean,
do it like
you
we
know,
normally do, but.
let's face it, we put a survey out about housing in town, and the vast majority of the people, you know, don't want it to change from what it is. But that's the truth. I mean, you know, that's the way the data came in, like it or not.
There was supposed to be 450 people show up at the school too, and only 16 showed up.
Yeah,
so-
right, so. Like everything else, you know, it's like the thing with the electric bill, that common interest charge or
Yeah.
whatever. 66,000 people signed the petition. How many of them are just not paying it?
I'm not paying it.
But how many of that
I don't know.
66,000? Because then they'd notice. Then they would notice.
So I guess where are we at? Are we setting a public hearing tonight?
First, wasn't it?
Let's,
We don't have an application number, do we? Oh, we do.
so, I need a motion.
I'll move to set a public hearing for April 1st at 7:15 for Z-25-012 Quarry Walk mixed use site plan modification.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Now we're into zoning enforcement.
So I just handled, Carl, a letter from Earthworks for an extension on special exception. 5 years expired, he wants to continue it.
We didn't add it to the agenda.
I was just doing that under,
You're doing it under zoning enforcement?
yes.
Okay, it's a letter from Earthworks to the town of Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission. Attention, Steve McCary, dated March 3rd, 2025, reference 4 Woodruff Hill Road, lot number 10, Oxford. We are asking for a 5-year extension on the permit to construct 4 Woodruff Hill Road, lot number 10, zoning application Z-19-064. Sincerely, Mark Oskowski of Earthworks.
Oh.
Z-19-064, so it was 5+ years ago.
Yeah, this is basically a housekeeping thing. This is his own lot, this is his own lot up there. That's not it. This is, that's not it. So what do we have to do here, Kevin?
When did the permit expire? Has it expired?
Well, the application is Z-19-064, but it doesn't say when we approved it.
So the legislature gave you the authority to extend out permits for 5 years, depending on the approval point. For a total of 19 years, depending on the approval points. So if that was a 2019 application, presumably approved somewhere in the last 5 years, perhaps even we're still within it. So I would suggest the commission grant the request for the extension for an additional 5 years from this date forward for a 5-year period ending 5 years from today, which would be March 4th, 2030.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a 5-year extension on the permit to construct 4 Woodruff Hill Road, lot number 10, as previously approved in zoning application Z-19-064.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, what's next?
So I
Anything,
have 241 Oxford Road on the plate. House on the right-hand side. The letter, and I've been sending letters since I think 2017. And we wrote kind of a letter back saying he really didn't understand the letter I wrote him. So he came in for a cottage business permit. So anyway, he writes a letter, A and B to me.
So this is the whole paper trail on this.
So this is all with the photos, and if you skip back to page, if you go to page 13, please see that. So he applied for a cottage business in 2001. So it says, no more than 2 commercial vehicles, no outside storage of any equipment, et cetera, et cetera. Look through this, this is his yard. There's a lot of pictures. So he's telling me a lot of the stuff in the yard is from the flood. Wrong, because that's kind of giving me a hard time because a lot of his stuff went into the butter. Obviously, the stuff there is not from the flood. So, I don't know what. Permit was granted, too. Statement of use of what he was going to do. He got it in 2001, it was for a cottage business and a sign, which he didn't do. Says in those regulations, all the store, like I said, it's public. To me, it's a commercial junkyard.
I have a question for you, Steve. Back in, I think it was 2018, 17, we went up there, and he had 5 drums of oil. 5, whatever happened to that oil?
Those are gone.
He was supposed to give you a letter, what he did
I don't
with
know
it.
what he did with them. I don't.
Probably don't.
He came to the commission and that was it, but I got letters going back to 17 that are in there. But he thinks he's doing nothing wrong and I'm picking on him, I'm harassing him, whatever. I haven't talked to this guy or seen him in 4 years. But you want me to bring him in here? You guys want to talk to him? Because I don't know what to do. I could send him another letter. He still thinks he's doing nothing wrong, as you can see. He's surprised about this letter. But the first letter I sent him on page 5, February 5th, 2024. Line. It says commercial business, no permits, cottage permit. Schedule C says, any place of outside storage, deposit, material, blah, blah, blah. He has to put it on his site. You have to hire a surveyor. He doesn't understand what I'm saying. Very vague.
So he's playing the flood card at this point.
Yeah, but you can tell this stuff's not from the flood.
the GIS if you go back to 2014, 15, 16.
See a little bit from the road.
Wait till, so rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, they want to widen 67, certain spots. You know how Tom did for his plaza? They want to continue that down on that side, on the south side. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, it's just a rumor I heard, but if they do, we'll lose the road.
They're in the right of way, sure.
And now you're going to see all this stuff. I don't know how true that is, so don't hold me to it.
Most areas along Route 67 through Oxford is 100-foot right of way.
Yeah. So he says here.
So it's like, for instance, Brookside's front porch is in the right of way.
And he wants to know who complains. We already did 68 scrap runs. When you got some value, you brought the scrap. So,
All right, we get it at
okay,
this
so
point.
if you guys want to read it and talk to him,
I don't know if we want to talk to them.
what do you want me to, I mean, I can send him another letter, I can be more, I can clarify it better than I sent you 15 before in the past 5 years. You know,
Maybe point out his original application, that he is currently outside of his permit. And
you got FEMA.
well, he obviously spent the money cleaning up.
Yeah, you should see it from property up on top. On the side, when the property get down. There's another one here too. This property's kind of like this.
I think, send him another letter. And explain to him that, that he's out, make it extensive, 3 pages long. Tell him that he's outside of his permit and so on and so forth. And see how he responds to that. That's Condon Road.
Condon Road,
Yeah.
Buster Road, and it goes all the way up his driveway. That goes out to the bus stop. Only reason why I put a cease and desist on it, him and his wife came in, she was crying. Daughter gets off the bus, they're embarrassed. Blah, blah, blah.
Where's that at?
48 Condon Road. This side of Market.
Up by the Girl Scout.
Right, okay.
Across the street.
He has a
So he
backhoe
took
there?
all this stuff, a lot of it from the front. Piled it all there. Floodplain, it went down, I talked to FEMA when they heard about this property, a couple, we were like, yeah. Everything went there in a flood anyway. You guys don't know him if you look him up. He's got kids. Throw one out there.
I don't think.
There's 4 or 5 other spots like this in Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to drag these people in here.
Gotta see.
Let's,
Hey, just picked up 15
why,
telephones.
why go into the whole public embarrassment thing?
Well, I would do it like private.
I would say continue to try and work with them. I mean, this is different, they're 2 different situations. This sounds like a bit of a hardship situation. Okay, where the other one just is not.
This guy's,
Actually, on North Larky Road, there used to be a similar situation years ago. The guy down in Seymour will sell, auction off anything.
But there's a lot of spots, just cottage businesses are popping up everywhere, all over the internet.
Track them down.
Yep.
And gotta read our cottage business regulation and make sure they conform.
You know, our town is changing. It really is, you know. It's like trucks, tractor trailers parked on 67, to windows knocked out of the buildings. We got,
Is that still there, that tractor trailer? or is it
I
finally-
tried everything.
no, I sent research to the state police and they finally got it out of there.
No, he's away. He's away for a month, because I talked to him, he was on East Drive. He's hard to understand, there's a language barrier, but he's away for a month, and I got him a spot, Tony Russo says, Tony wants like
I gave
$200
the
a month.
research to a Christian, and Christian gave it to the state cop, and the state cop was supposed to review it.
He did.
Yeah.
He said that regulation applies to like 95 Route 8 main thoroughfares, because I talked to the trooper.
You know, I just don't, here's what I don't understand. How come every other town, Southbury, Woodbury, Roxbury, don't have trucks and have this crap along their highway, and we do? That's what irritates me most of all, is that, you know, we have a decent town. Why do we have to have trucks parked alongside, windows knocked out of commercial buildings? Like, you know, it's like New York City, for Christ's sakes. Same for town.
They got busted
Yeah.
3 times selling. Cops did try and get warrants, the judge won't sign. Tied with zip ties and just, you know. Now the guy down here by Roses, I heard he's selling
And the problem is, it's not only against our regulations, but it's against state law. They're not a certified dispensary.
This guy got busted 3 times.
I know, and they still let them go.
Then how come he's not in jail?
Because the judge won't sign a warrant, it's just legal.
What about our selectmen?
But, I mean, his hands are tied.
Chief of
George is
police?
the chief of police, he's gonna go and get advice from the state troopers or whatever. Okay, well, arrest them, so they did. And now there's no warrant to arrest them. So what do you do?
Go.
That's the least they're gonna do. I get it, I get how you feel.
I mean, it's just, and, you know, some of these smoke shops are selling cannabis products under the counter.
You go to the one down by Dunkin' Donuts, it looks just like a bar. It looks just like Bud in the jar.
I mean, you
I'm
know,
just saying, you know? How many days I sent the owner a cease and desist for running a dispensary, come to the commission, knowing he can't, I want him to come here so he can hear from you.
I mean, you know, right now you get more trouble for selling tobacco without a license than selling weed without a license. Ridiculous.
Can't those businesses be shut down in our town?
That's what I was
Can't we just
saying.
like
I gotta-
say no?
We tried.
I gave a cease and desist on hire Dominic. We have a dime like this. So, pictures.
We got the
right
photos.
here. I mean,
Let's just go down there and buy some, and then we'll have
this
proof.
is all at night. Now, he's been broken into, this is the second time he got broken.
We'll go to jail for buying it.
I'll take the hit.
First time you got caught, you got broken into, the kid calls the PD.
Yeah, but, you know, all kidding aside, that plywood on that window is dangerous, because somebody could be inside that place when he walks in there in the morning. Takes a round, boy.
Back to that trailer truck parked on the side of the road. I mean, when is that gonna come to an end?
Out there, they back.
Well, that's where he's parking on the side of the road like he's in New York City, which is not.
Because 67 isn't on top of that paper I gave the state cop, you can't do nothing about it.
It has to be posted
Yeah.
by the state for them
They
to
did
stop
that-
him.
What they did in Seymour, across from that white church over there, they put those metal bars right across the parking lot so you couldn't park there no more. So now they moved it over here.
That was probably town property though,
Yeah,
correct?
it's not
Yeah.
proper. Maybe
But
we
again,
should
the
call
state
it-
can put up signs or bars in the state right away.
Exactly.
All they gotta do is put no parking.
You know, we gotta get Arnie Jensen, he's our state rep, we'll get him to do it.
All right, where are we at now?
Can we just shut the tape off?
I can't. Does it take off?
Yeah, I want to go into executive session.
Well, we're gonna go into executive session when the time comes.
Oh, okay. I thought-
I was thinking, we've never gone into executive session. I don't know what's gonna happen here.
We're gonna go in the other room,
Oh,
like we usually do. We're just gonna all get up and go into the other room. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
Whoa, we didn't get
We're not there yet. I thought we're there. Did you say we're there?
The old days, it was getting to be 10 o'clock.
Okay, we're at invoices.
All right, let's get those money out of the way.
And this is Jessica's, I assume. Amend the agenda to add ZFPZA membership.
yes, it's $130. But I wanna get it.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoice from ZFPZA for membership for the committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Any other business? If not, we can go into executive.
Any other
session.
business before we go into executive session? Anyone? Okay. I'll need a motion to go into executive session
Move to go into executive session at 9:25.
and also to invite,
And to invite Jess and Steve and Kevin. Why not? If you want. You get a,
Alternates go into executive session, or do we get to relax?
you want to come in?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, this is part of that package that you
This is
gave
part of
us.
that package.
Okay.
we need a second and a.
I need a second.
Second,
I'll second.
I did.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna hang here.
Okay. If I
Don't let
need to,
anybody talk too much about it. I don't wanna know too much.
I won't say anything bad about you.
All right, don't let them say anything bad about the cat. Hey, Dan, you can't go in. Can't forget we're still on tape, that we're still live streaming. Oh, yeah, Dan, if you want to call Pat, he can, let you into executive session. You might want to hear it. To talk to Steve. You want me to have him call you? All right, give him a call. If you want to hang up on this, we're just going to adjourn after executive session. All right, call Pat before you miss out on the juicy stuff. All right. Bye, Dan. Out here. Have it. Normally, they would have it in here and the public would leave. But because we're live streaming, and I didn't think about that ahead of time. Like, I have a few options to like stop streaming, stop recording, or end broadcast, but I don't want to screw up the whole thing. So.
So we're talking.
Yeah.
Boy, are you in trouble, Jess. You should have want to hear that one.
Much better out here with these two. They're having a laugh. They're fun. They are.
I need a
Yeah, he's
motion.
on shit. Stan's on
Motion to
shit
come
too.
out of executive session
I need a
at
second.
9:48.
Recording, sorry.
Second.
Wait,
Okay.
I want to go home just as bad as you. See, I already took all your names away. Who made the motion to come out of executive session? At
9:48.
9:48, who seconded that?
I second it.
Pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
And no action was taken in executive.
No actions were taken. Motion adjourned.
Second.